So when my 8-year-old daughter gave me this for Mother's Day, I realized I might have a problem with how much time I spend on my phone. And after I did a little research, I realized that the average American spends hours and hours a day on their phone, most of that time on social media. Go to your phone after you watch this video and check your weekly screen time. It's frightening. I mean, we spend all of our waking moments with our phone. Most of us have them right next to our bed when we sleep. People take them to the toilet. So we spend a lot of time with our phone, and I found a statistic that said the average person actually touches their phone more than 2,600 times per day. So after my daughter gave me this, I thought, what if I did a week-long social media detox? After all, I run an online business, so most of the time that I'm spending on my phone is on social media to run my business. And I wondered, will the business suffer if I take a week off? Will I become more productive? Will I be happier? And honestly, could I even do it? I mean, I might actually end up needing this. There is an emergency thing you can break, which just goes to show you how absolutely obsessed we actually are with our phones. So since we had a family camping trip coming up, I decided to do my week-long social media detox, and in this video, I'm gonna show you just what happened. So our actual journey started out like most normal camping trips with a visit to a local alpaca farm where the owners care for 36 orphaned alpacas, and they shear their wool each and every single year to make yarn. And I found myself wondering, how do you come to own 36 alpacas? And so they shared with me that the family members either pass on or people get divorced, and it's kind of hard to rehome an alpaca. And they have become this refuge for these orphaned alpacas at this wonderful farm called Alpaca Pines. So we started off by meeting the 3 boys. They're special needs alpacas who get their own pen because the others actually pick on them. And we also met the solitary llama on the presents, who only gets to hang out with the sheep because he's kind of a big bully. I was completely shocked at how large the llamas are compared to the alpacas, and also how the freshly shaven alpacas kind of remind me of E.T. So after that, we arrived at the actual farm. We grabbed our map from the mailbox to go to our tent, and we made our way via modern day wagon travel across the farm to where we'd stay for the next few days. And at this point, the girls explained to me exactly what my expectations were for the week. So ladies, what did you ask mommy?
No social media!
During the camping trip. So here we are. I promised you that I would take you along on the journey. We just arrived. You can see our tent behind us. We just arrived at the farm, and I have promised the girls that it is no more social media. So let's see, how will I survive? Day 1, I'm feeling a little nervous. I already see my notifications blowing up. It's creating a little bit of angst, but I'm also pretty excited to see what happens when we truly unplug and just spend time together for the next few days without the distraction of social media.
And mommy has a phone case so we can keep her phone.
This is the gorgeous tent that we are staying in here at Kinnick Farms, and I gotta say, if I can't unplug from social media in a place like this, I don't know when I could. So I am really feeling excited and nervous about this experiment and curious to see what the next few days bring. So despite the gorgeous setting and being quote unquote on vacation, The thought of not being able to check my social media or respond to questions from my audience and send emails to my list created quite a bit of anxiety for me. If you've watched my last movie about why I make the same mistakes over and over again, you know I tend to be an overachiever and a perfectionist. So I was wondering, will the business suffer? Would I be punished by the algorithm when I started back up again on social media? Would I lose so much of the traction that I'd worked so hard to gain? And then there was also just that really, really powerful muscle memory and habit of checking my phone constantly. So I left the tent and I found myself actually checking my pockets regularly and wondering, oh my gosh, where was my phone? Did I drop it? Did I lose it? And at the first sign of boredom, I went to reach for my phone. And it dawned on me just how compulsive the behavior had become. So the next morning, we woke up to, the typical sounds of the cock-a-doodle-doo of the rooster. And then we were busy making breakfast by campfire, and there are all the tent chores and the farm chores to be done, chickens to feed and pigs to feed. And for the first time during this experiment, I found it freeing just to be able to be fully present with my kids and with what I needed to be doing in the moment. I was actually just living life instead of trying to spread my attention between multiple tasks at once. And afternoon life on the farm was very, very slow. And since I couldn't reach for my phone, I curled up with books that I'd been meaning to read, and I lit a fire inside our tent. And I asked myself, was this all in my head? Or was my ability to sustain my focus already increasing because my phone wasn't sitting next to me? Think about it. How many times do you find yourself stopping to check that blinking light or a notification on your phone or look something up when you're reading? And how long does it fully take you to regain that attention in whatever you're doing? Instead, because I didn't have social media and I wasn't checking my phone all day long, I found myself immersed in what I was actually doing. There was a simple pleasure from thinking, well, what do I want to do next? Instead of, who do I need to respond to right now? And at night, as Brian and I sat and gazed out at the sunset, and we fed chickens the table scraps, and we watched the sunset while listening to the birds and the bugs, instead of the ding from the phone, I realized just how much I had missed being present in the moment. And within just a few days, I went from anxiety about what I might miss to a pretty strong desire that I wouldn't have to go back to social media as often because I was missing out on so much of my real life. This time away from social media, while it wasn't a full month, it was pretty much just under a week, was an incredibly eye-opening experience. And a big, big lesson was learned by me. One, that my mental well-being and my ability to be present and intentional with my family improved significantly when I set aside social media. And two, I have to continue practicing this at home because my family is worth it. And three, I might actually have to use that lockbox that my daughter bought me after all. So perhaps you're wondering, what actually was the impact to my business that I was so worried about that I couldn't give up social media for the past 6 years of my life? Ironically enough, probably a good deal of the anxiety I had going into this experiment was because I had enrolled in a new business opportunity just about 3 days before I was leaving to go camping. So when we say bad timing, this was the epitome of bad timing, but a promise to my kids is a promise I refused to break. And so I connected with some of my closest business partners and affiliates and other programs right before I left, and I shared the opportunity with them. And then I had to leave town. And the funny thing is that not only did the business not suffer, but I came home to over 100 people enrolled on the team. They did an excellent job of being self-sufficient and resourceful without access to me for the entire weekend. So it left me thinking, maybe social media like my Facebook and my Instagram and my TikTok aren't as crucial to my business as I believe them to be. Maybe what's more important is the value in the content that I've produced. Maybe what's more important is the audience that I own, that I've built with my email list. And maybe it's about the relationships that we build and we cultivate that really makes the difference. Only time will tell, but I intend to become much more intentional with my time spent on social media and my time spent off of it. And I gotta say, I really didn't miss social media, and I suspect a lot of folks might be happier spending less time on it. What do you think?